Hi, this is Charlie, and today we're going to just do a short video tour of the electric VX220. So looking at the exterior, there are very few modifications. The obvious one, first of all, is we've got the electric charge port. It's a standard 30 amp type 2 charge port with a nice cover, and this has just gone in place of the original fuel cap, so nice simple change there. And of course the other visual difference is going to be the missing exhaust pipe. Originally there were dual exhausts in here, and this gap really needs to be covered up with some new mesh. Looking through the hole we can just see a glimpse of the charger, and then going underneath we have the Tesla drive unit. It sits quite low, but it's directly between the wheels, so there shouldn't be too many worries about hitting the ground there. So as far as the outside goes, there's not really too much to see. Now, if we open up the boot space, the grand reveal is incredibly disappointing. Here we have the original luggage compartment, unmodified, so we've still got the original space in there for carrying our golf clubs. And here we can see the lid of the battery box, which fills the space completely, so there's really no way to see what's going on under there. Moving now to the front of the car, I've got a non-standard bonnet release here because the original bonnet release is absolutely terrible. And again, there's very little in the way of modification here. Looking under the bonnet, we can see the original brake assist, original brake fluids. We've got a new heater pipe, which is just to replace the old one, which is completely disintegrated. And moving to the other side, we've got the original 12-volt battery, so there's very little in the way of changes needed there. The very large original radiator is here, and this is still in use. We pump all the coolant through the original radiator using some modified connectors onto it. And then over here we've got a new coolant bottle. So the original coolant bottle was in the rear, but because there's no way to access anything in the rear, I've moved the coolant bottle to the front. Now moving inside the car, again very light on the modifications. We've got a Sony radio in there. We've got the original heater controls, and the only modification here is that the heat dial, instead of being variable, it just has a micro switch at the maximum point. And when it gets to maximum, it turns on the electric PTC heater. And that's a 300 volt high voltage PTC with a relay in the battery box. Fan control original, operation, the direction original, although it's really only useful for demisting the windscreen. Down here we've got my CAN interface, which goes into the original OBD2 port, which, believe it or not, dangles there and always has. The gauges are completely original. Unfortunately, the only really useful information from the gauges is the speed. There's not going to be anything on there at the moment for battery state of charge. There's nothing for current. It's basically just the odometer and miles per hour. So has everything it needs to have, but definitely some improvements could be made there. Now, if we turn on the ignition, the first thing we'll hear is a very loud vacuum pump. And the vacuum pump finishes, and then we've just got the hum of the coolant pump running. So not too loud. It's a shame about the vacuum pump. The other major internal modification, of course, is the gear selector. So here, rather than the original gear stick, we've got this 3-position gear selector, reverse neutral drive, and that lights up depending on which gear you're on. That's a pretty standard part, very cheap from China, but works very well. And then to engage the high voltage, we've got the original start button here. So you press that and that will close the main contactors. And that's it, we'd be ready to drive. So we will probably go for a drive in the next video.